want to apologize for being just a couple minutes late. Today we're going to be talking about how it's difficult to predict the weather. Apparently it's difficult to predict the traffic in Washington as well. But, Mr. Chairman, the weather satellites we have flying over the poles and in geostationary orbits over the east and west coast provide essential data for weather forecasting. And both the Joint Polar Satellite System and the Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite are essential acquisition programs intended to put replacements on orbit for the current generation of operating satellites. Unfortunately, both of these acquisitions have been troubled, and that's why I'm grateful to you for holding this hearing today, as well as Chairman Stewart. Of the two, JPSS is far and away in the most trouble. It will produce a definite gap in coverage due to the technical and cost challenges which have plagued the program. The geostationary program is also worrisome, with an ongoing possibility of a data gap emerging due to schedule slips. Obviously, none of us are happy about this. However, it has been suggested in some locations that this might be something tied to the costs of doing climate science, and I don't believe this is the case. When the Obama administration took office, they inherited a crippled program already. It lacked planning and management guidance necessary to move it forward. It had experienced cost growth from $6.5 billion to at least $12.5 billion. For almost 100% of the growth, we were getting 2 satellites instead of 6, and we had jettisoned many sensors. This is what the administration inherited, and they had to make hard decisions about how to move the program forward, and that took almost 2 years to get the Defense Department out of the program and NOAA and NASA on a fresh path. Any observer, I think, would have to conclude that the restructured GPSS program is better managed and better structured now than it was in 2008, and that we should be proud of. But there are still gaps in the management tools needed in JPSS. Again, compared to where we were between 2005 and 2008, the bleeding has stopped, and the slips do seem relatively small. But that said, we are still facing an inevitable gap in coverage, and what to do about that gap is going to be and should be explored today. The geostationary satellite program has always been a little healthier than JPSS. It has suffered from fewer technical issues and less relative cost growth and enjoyed more stable management than the Polar program. That said, there is still a chance of a gap in coverage that would be tragic. NOAA has to keep on track to get us satellites in orbit and working before the current geostationary satellites go dark. We need satellites ready for launch to avoid limit or gap in coverage. We need clear plans for alternative sources of data to protect accurate forecasting. And we need to make sure that we are not forced to depend on other countries, such as the People's Republic of China, that the Chairman rightfully pointed out would have unacceptable downsides to that kind of relationship. We need confidence that both of these programs are going to succeed, even by the diminished expectations we now hold for them. And with that, I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you again for holding the hearing.